What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sports Talk with Ryan Stoudt. I'm your host, Ryan Stoudt, and today I got a very special guest with me. I got my man Walter, host of the Passion for the Pastime Sports Podcast. I'll let him introduce himself and promote his shows.
Hey, what's up, Ryan? Thanks for letting me come on to your podcast. I really appreciate it, dude. What I do, my name is Walter Icabalceta. Didn't expect you to say it, so many people butcher it, bro. So I'm not I don't take offense to it, but yeah, I do Passion for the Pastime podcast. That's pretty much we just talk baseball. I've been doing like a series from the beginning of this year, talking to a lot of beat writers. And I just finished up actually talking with Marty Lurie. He does the pregame for the San Francisco Giants on the weekend. So I just finished up talking with him, talking some baseball. And then I actually have another podcast, 2 Point Conversation, and that's a football one. I do that with my buddy from high school, Aunt Jules. You guys can check all that out on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, just a 2 Point Conversation and Passion for the Pastime podcast as we get ready for baseball season, man. I'm excited. As you can tell, Giants fan right here.
There you go. I'm excited. We might clash a little bit. I got my Dodgers jersey behind me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you got to throw that in the trash, bro, while we do this.
We'll get our World Series predictions going at the end of the show. We're gonna start with the NFL today. And our first topic, as I'm sure everybody knows, is that the NFL has moved to a 17-game season. So, Walter, I'm going to get your thoughts on this real quick. We'll talk about some load management and different things. What are your immediate reactions?
I mean, as a fan, I love it. I mean, 17 seasons, give me more football. Why not? You know, I'm fine with it. I know some players, on the other hand, I know Alvin Kamara kind of spoke out. He wasn't too happy about it, which I get, right? Because the more opportunity that you have to be on the field in football, being the physical game that it is, the more opportunity there is for you to get injured, and especially someone that takes a beating in the running back position. I mean, there's a reason why we have so many deep running back rooms, right? It's because they want to keep those guys fresh for the entirety of the season. But yeah, week 17, I'm good with that, man. More football for me. I'm happy with it. What about you?
Yeah, so I was sort of down the middle with it because I think as a fan, it's really great and it's going to brand the NFL well and it's going to sort of get popularity out there. But like you said, with Alvin Kamara and what he said, I feel like that's sort of how most players feel. It's such a brutal game that 17 weeks already takes a toll on players. And we see load management in the NBA, which now they're talking about for the NFL. Are we going to sit players for 1 week so that they don't get injured? I mean, we saw without the preseason this year, many players got injured. I know you're a 49ers fan. We saw plenty of 49ers players get injured. Nick Bosa, Jimmy Garoppolo, and, you know, plenty of players on other teams too. So I don't know if the 18-week season is going to have an effect on injuries, but I think the popularity is going to grow for the NFL. You could go either way with it.
Yeah, you talk about the injuries, man. It was brutal. It was brutal. I got my 49er helmet over here, 49er faithful all day, but it was brutal last year with the injuries. I think they had like 50-plus guys go on the injured reserve, or maybe not the injured reserve, but be injured like out for the entirety of the season. It was crazy, man. And it wasn't like small people either. It was Deebo Samuel, Jimmy Garoppolo. You're missing George Kittle for games. It's like, oh my God, Richard Sherman was out, Nick Bosa. I mean, the list goes on, man. It was easier to keep track of who was injured because they were all the starters. I didn't know who the hell was playing half the damn time anymore.
Right.
That's what it got to.
Yeah, and I don't know if 18 weeks is gonna sort of be a similar situation. We have a comment in our live chat. This is my buddy Landon. He says, "Suck it up and play. Baseball and basketball take a toll too, and they don't complain about it, the amount of games that they play." Now, what I would say to this is that the NFL is much more of a brutal sport than baseball and basketball. Now, they have longer seasons, but I can see, the suck it up and play aspect if it's good for the league. But again, football's a much more brutal sport. What do you think, Walter?
Yeah, but football is a brutal sport, but also, I mean, it gets down to preparation. It gets down to, how they prepare themselves in the off season. You can't go into OTAs not having done anything all off season. That's how you get hurt, right? You have to train your body to take the hits. That's how football is. Baseball, I mean, there's very little contact in baseball, but there's injuries that come about which lead back to conditioning again. So, the players are just going to have to take more responsibility. Yes, I mean, suck it up to a degree, but we all have to remember that these guys are human beings as well. So it's like they're going to be going out there, potentially putting their careers on the line, which they do anyway, but it's like you're adding another game, which is not necessarily needed, but the NFL, there's money involved. So, I mean, the NFL is going to do whatever they can do to get as much money as they can. But the players, I think that they'll get on board with it. I mean, Kamara, has there been more players that have come out and opposed it? Because I saw that Kamara was like the really big one, but I haven't really seen a lot of outcry on that. How's that going with the players?
I haven't seen anybody but Alvin Kamara, but I that was a really good point that you said about, like, it's any sport, it's preparation. But the thing about the NFL versus something like the MLB is you don't see as many brutal. It's not as brutal, yes, but when you have a guy like Ken Griffey Jr., the way that he played, jumping onto the wall and laying out for these catches, his career was cut short because of the way he played defense. So it's just a matter of how physical you play the game. But I think it goes without saying that the NFL is more of a brutal sport. There's no other contact sport that's quite like the NFL. So I think that might take a toll. Again, it's just 1 week, so we'll see what happens.
I will say, though, who is the franchise guys for football teams?
The quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks, right?
Right.
Who is the most protected player on the field?
The quarterback, as long as the offensive line is good.
So as long as no quarterback, unless you're Joe Burrow, unless no quarterbacks are complaining about this, it's not going to change. It's not going to change,
right?
Because that is the meal ticket for teams, for franchises, for the NFL. If Dak Prescott comes out and says, "Hey, man, I'm not trying to go out there," well, then maybe there's a conversation that gets held. But until that happens, quarterbacks have all the power, man. It's not going to change.
Yeah, I agree. When you're you would need franchise guys to come out and say, "Hey, we don't agree with this." When a guy like Alvin Kamara says it doesn't mean much because he's a running back.
Right.
So that's what we have on our NFL or for the 17-week season. Moving on, and we're going to talk about this guy because if you don't know him, I'm sure you know him by now because everybody's been talking bad about him recently, and that's Howie Roseman, because the Dolphins traded with the Eagles. The Eagles traded down. So just to break this trade down for you, the Dolphins got the number 6 pick in the draft from the Eagles and the 156th fifth-round pick. And the Eagles got the number 12 pick this year, pick number 123 in the 4th round, and a 2022 first-round pick. So I do another show. I do Fuel to the Fire with my buddy Landon. And the other week we were talking about how the Eagles could draft a quarterback, which would be stupid. And I said that they're not going to draft anybody but Jamar Chase. They need to draft Jamar Chase at 6. And now they moved to 12. And I don't think Jamar Chase is going to go past 12. And this isn't a wide receiver heavy draft. So Howie Roseman screwed up again. What are your initial thoughts to this trade, Walter?
I mean, you say you screwed up. I like the trade, dude. I really do, because the Eagles are in a transition mode. They're not trying to win right now. They're trying to build their team. But what better way to move back spots? It all depends on who the Eagles are trying to get, right? Whoever they are trying to get, if it's a wide receiver, or hell, there's a lot of good talented guys that could be available at 12, right? So it depends who they're trying to get. You say wide receivers. There's tons of them: Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. You name it, you want to take any of those guys at 12. But they could have had Kyle Pitts. That could have been a possibility. That could have been a possibility. But I like the deal just because they're able to now they have another first round pick. So next year they have 2 first round picks, and they have a conditional first round pick depending on what happens with Carson Wentz. And that Carson Wentz situation was a whole nother thing. That I don't know what's going on with the Carson Wentz thing, but I'm just saying, you know, they could potentially have 3 first round picks next year. I think they're setting themselves up good for a rebuild, man, because that's what they're doing. That's what they need to do. They had to hit the reset button, then trading away Carson Wentz. That's pretty much what it was. And then moving back, that's saying, hey, Jalen is our guy. So I kind of like the move.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point that they have 3 first-round picks next year. Now, me looking at this year's draft, I don't think Devontae Smith's going to go at 12. I think he's going to be picked before that. I think Waddle could be picked at 12, and I think Jamar Chase is going to be before 12, and so is Kyle Pitts. So I think that's the only reason I think they might have been better off staying at 6. But if they're willing to have another crappy year, because I think they will unless they make some major moves, then maybe this was a good move to have 3 first-round picks next year and sort of start that rebuild process. And we'll have to see how Jalen Hurts does too, because just looking at 3 games, we know he's better than Carson Wentz, and that's not saying much. To say somebody's better than Carson Wentz is, that's the least that somebody could be. So I'm interested in seeing how the Eagles play this season. And I think that if they're willing to be bad for another year, go for it. But I don't trust Howie Roseman at all. And I think that they need to find a new GM.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy with all the Carson Wentz stuff, what happened, and they had to eat all that money. I mean, the dude lost credibility for sure. But I mean, he's trying. That's all you can say. He's trying to do the best that he can at rebuilding that team, because I mean, you talk about wide receiver. Maybe they don't go wide receiver. Maybe they go I forget his name, but the linebacker from Penn State. Maybe they go with him. Maybe they go with Patrick Surtain from Alabama. I mean, maybe they go defensive side of things. Maybe they don't address the offense immediately. Maybe they do that next year, because what's interesting about everything that's going on this year in the draft, and I know we're going to talk about it here with the 49ers and their 3rd overall pick. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's hard to gauge as far as the talent level of some of these guys. So to backload your picks for the upcoming years, I think is really smart, because again, like, some guys played 1 game, some guys played 8 games, some guy in this last season, right? So how do you really project? How do you look at these guys? How do you evaluate to full potential in the shortened, condensed season from COVID? So I think the more picks that they can get next year, hell, if they want to trade that 12th overall pick for another first round pick, I'm on board for that too. If they want to trade for next year. You know what I mean?
Next year, they're going to make some moves, I think. And this year, at that 12 spot, I think they have to take a wide receiver. I don't think they should take a linebacker or anything. I think they need to take a wide receiver, because they gave away Aguilar. They don't have Alshon Jeffrey anymore, so they are out of wide receivers. They don't have anybody for Jalen Hurts to throw the ball to. So if we're expecting
Jalen Reagor, right? Isn't Jalen Reagor still there?
Reagor, okay, yeah, Jalen Reagor. But again, we're in
last year was just weird because he got hurt, right? So I mean,
right,
you can't really do anything there.
We're sort of in a league where I think you need at least 2 wide receivers, like 2 good wide receivers, to be anything in the league. So we'll have to see what happens, and I think it's actually really going to impact Jalen Hurts' season this year, and how we see Jalen Hurts is the ability of his receivers. We'll move on to a topic that you're going to be excited about, Walter, the 49ers, and more specifically, Jimmy Garoppolo, because he's in an interesting situation, because the 49ers got the number 3 pick from the Dolphins, who got now the number 12 pick, the 2022 first round, 2022 third round, and a 2023 first. So speaking of building for the future, they get all those picks traded to them for the number 3 pick from the 49ers. So I think at the number 3 spot, I don't know about you, they said they want to keep Jimmy G as their guy. And to me, he's injury prone. I think Zach Wilson's going to go number 2 to the New York Jets. And I think that Justin Fields would be a perfect fit in San Francisco because they don't need the tight end Kyle Pitts. Because they have George Kittle. The only other person I can see them taking other than Justin Fields would be Devontae Smith. What do you think?
I mean, it would be nice to have Kyle Pitts. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Could you imagine pairing him with George Kittle? That would be insane. But no, they're going quarterback. I mean, everything that Kyle and John have said, and I was working at the radio station during their press conference. I was cutting some of the audio, so I was listening really close to what Kyle and John were saying. The thing about Jimmy, yeah, he's the guy, but what else are they gonna say? You know, what are they gonna say? Yeah, we're going number 3. Jimmy sucks. Like, we're not gonna do it anymore with Jimmy. They can't say that. You know what I mean? He's still on the team. He's still the guy that they have to throw out there. And I think that this is possibly Jimmy Garoppolo's last year with the 49ers. It could potentially be next year because he still has 2 more years remaining on his contract, depending on what they want to do. But I think the move is, first of all, I hope that the Jets screw it up. I hope that they screw it up and they don't go Zach Wilson. I really don't. I really wish that they do that. And Zach Wilson is available. If he is, 49ers jumping on that. But I think the move is definitely a quarterback. They're definitely going quarterback, no matter what Kyle says, no matter what they say at the press conferences. They're just, they're saying what they need to say, not necessarily tipping their hand. They're going they're going quarterback. I don't see them going wide receiver at 3. I don't see them going any other position at 3. Like I said, I joke about Kyle Pitts, but that would be fantastic. But it wouldn't make sense because you trade up and they traded 2 first-round picks plus their first-round pick this year. So essentially 3 first-round picks to move up 9 spots or 8 spots, 9 spots. Yeah, to move up 9 spots. That's a move that signals that this is for a franchise guy. This is for the quarterback position. They're not going to go any other position other than quarterback. You say Justin Fields. I don't know who they take, man. Justin Fields makes sense. He's trained under Kyle Shanahan because Kyle Shanahan does like a quarterback camp. So he's trained under them. So they get a feel of what he is. He's a great runner. He has great size. He started more games than some of the other guys that are available, like Trey Lance. Like Trey Lance has only played 1 game. I don't know. How do you assess that? How do you evaluate someone that's played 1 game last year? It's crazy. They're comparing him to Lamar Jackson. Do I want a Lamar Jackson on the 49ers? Probably not, because Lamar Jackson hasn't done anything with the Ravens. So
he's a running back.
Yeah. He's a quarterback he's a running back that's playing quarterback. So Justin Fields, he's intriguing. He's very raw though. Like he's somebody that what they're talking about in NFL circles is that the big question on him is, can he be a pocket passer? Because that is what Kyle Shanahan is looking for. You're not looking for a guy that can be a dual threat, so to speak, right? You're looking for a guy that can control the pocket, has pocket presence, and can move occasionally, right? To go off script occasionally. You're not looking for a Lamar Jackson type. That's not the type of guy that will excel in a Kyle Shanahan system. I mean, look at all the quarterbacks that he's had over the years. Was Kirk Cousins that guy? Was Matt Ryan that guy? I mean, the list goes on. So Justin Fields, he would definitely be a project. That's the big question on him, though, is can he be a pocket passer, and can he go through his progressions, right? Because the thing about Kyle Shanahan is he loves quarterbacks that go through progressions, stay on script, and get the job done, stay to the game plan, right? Jimmy Garoppolo, and to challenge the opposition in the secondary. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't do any of that stuff. I mean, he had good moments here and there, but he was very indecisive, and we're only talking like 1-2 seconds of indecisiveness. But in the NFL, as you know, as a fan, that's all the time in the world. Like, that is the difference from a wide open touchdown and an interception. So they have to get somebody that has good pocket presence, that can go through their progressions and read the defense pre-snap, right? That's all that it is, because those are honestly the hardest things to teach. Those are the hardest things to establish from a college quarterback into the NFL. So if I was going to go with a quarterback, I mean, the talk is Mac Jones. I don't know if I like him at 3. I don't know. Again, I would love if they would go Zach Wilson and the Jets just screw it up. That would be ideal for me. But I mean, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, I think that's who it comes down to at number 3. It all just depends how 1 and 2 go. Like, do the Jaguars screw up and not go Trevor Lawrence? Like, then that throws a wrench in everything.
Yeah. That would be crazy. So what I think is going to happen with the 49ers is I think they're going to draft Justin Fields. And I think they're going to keep Jimmy G for 1 more year. They're going to have Justin Fields sort of develop and then trade Jimmy Garoppolo and sort of get like another piece for Justin Fields to work with as a starter in his second year. Because to me, they're in the NFC West, which is the best division in the NFL. I think the Cardinals are going to win that division this year. They're my sleeper team to go all the way to the Super Bowl after free agency. I think the Rams are the second team in that division. And I think the Niners are a close third. Because the Seahawks
you're breaking my heart, dude. You're breaking my heart right here.
Well, listen, I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo is injury prone. So I think if he gets injured again, they're going to be fighting for that third spot with Seattle. So if Jimmy Garoppolo gets traded, that just adds another piece for Justin Fields to work with. Because when they have a healthy quarterback, they're one of the best teams in the league. Because the 49ers have the team, they just need the guy behind center. And I think that could be Justin Fields. Because you compare Justin Fields to Lamar Jackson, but the one thing that Justin Fields has that Lamar Jackson doesn't or didn't have in college is the arm. I mean, Justin Fields can throw it 50, 60 yards down the field, and Lamar Jackson can't even do that. So I think, yes, the running ability is a matchup with Lamar Jackson, but I think Justin Fields has a bit more of a strong arm, and I think that's where he's going to end up in San Francisco. So we'll move on to our – oh, you got something real quick?
No. I was just saying, yeah. I mean, we'll see, man. Justin Fields, because Kyle Shanahan was at the pro day for Mac Jones, and again, like everybody's reading into that, like, oh, Mac Jones is the guy. Like, not necessarily. Maybe he has more questions about Mac Jones opposed to Justin Fields. So maybe you're onto something. Maybe Justin Fields is the guy.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to our NBA topics, LaMarcus Aldridge went to the Nets this week. He's averaging 13, 4, and 1 this year. And that's stirred up some drama in the NBA because now everybody seems to be criticizing the Nets for sort of buying the championship and sort of having that's really big super team that they're just sort of going out and getting everybody. I think they're going to win the championship. I think there's no question about that right now, unless LeBron and Anthony Davis are healthy. But what do you think about the criticism that the Nets are getting, Wally?
Well, was everybody criticizing LeBron when he did it in Miami? I mean, was it as blown up as what everybody's doing right now with the Nets? They're trying to win a championship, man. Like, do by any means possible. There's not a rule book that you got to live by. You know what I mean? You got to do what you need to do. And if they're in the means of getting LaMarcus Aldridge, which, by the way, I forgot that the dude was even in the league. Like, come on, it's LaMarcus Aldridge 35. We're not talking LaMarcus Aldridge when he was 26. You know what I mean? Like, we're not talking Portland LaMarcus Aldridge. We're talking about old man LaMarcus Aldridge. Yeah, he could still play defense. He could still score. But it's the name. I mean, everybody sees the name and it's like, oh, they got LaMarcus Aldridge. Oh, they got Blake Griffin. But hey, they're trying to win a ring, dude. They have to get as many opportunities as they can, as many pieces as they can. So, I mean, let me ask you, if you were in the NBA and you had an opportunity to get a good player for a decent price, would you do it? And if you were that player, would you go to get a ring? I would. 100%. In both of those questions. Yeah. I'm trying to get a ring, bro. I'm trying to get one of these. It's fake, by the way. It's a replica, but I'm trying to get one of these. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think that it's sort of petty because Nobody criticized the Warriors when they got Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. Nobody
Oh,
criticized LeBron.
a lot of people criticized the
Well,
Warriors, man.
Kevin Durant, yeah.
They were public enemy #1 when they did that.
Right.
Jeez.
I mean, yeah, Kevin Durant was seen as a traitor. That's a good point. Nobody criticized,
yeah.
Like you said, Miami when LeBron built a super team there. Nobody criticized my Boston Celtics from 2008 to whenever they had their super team. So, of course, your main goal is to always win an NBA championship. So I think it's just really, really unfair to criticize a team for having money and going out and getting these players that are going to help them win a championship. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. Are people really upset because they're trying to win? I mean, so to me, it's really petty.
It does seem like a little bit of overkill though, because of the names. But you also have to look at where those guys are now. You can't be living in the past of Blake Griffin. Like Blake Griffin, what he was doing in recent years was nothing compared to what he was doing in LA. So it's like you have to assess with what those players are now. Again, the names, the recognition, you're like, damn, they're going crazy. Like, is Steve Nash going to suit up one night? Like, I don't know, man. Like that's just how it is. But it all comes full circle, man. People want to complain. Blame LeBron. LeBron started it with all this super team crap. That was who started it all. So I mean, you talk about the Celtics, which I mean that was a big move, but that didn't start a wave. You know what I mean? They deliberately planned to go to a set location. Like that didn't happen with Boston. That just kind of happened. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. These dudes planned it to go there. Like KD planned to go to the Warriors. KD planned to team up with Kyrie. So it's like, blame LeBron, dude. Like that's the big problem here. Nobody's talking about that though.
Right. and I'm glad you mentioned Kevin Durant because he's still injured. So
right.
We're seeing their biggest star out, and they're going out and buying these players. To me, that's a bit of a conspiracy because if he's still out and he should be back, they're saying he should be back soon. Could his injury be a lot worse than what the media thinks it is?
I mean, to come back from that type of injury, it's really difficult. You know what I mean? So it could be a lot worse than what they're letting on, but also him just coming back could be it's difficult. It's really difficult. I mean, you saw everything that Derrick Rose had to go through coming back, and that guy, I mean, what he's doing now, it's amazing, but it took a while. Like he wasn't the same player after all his injuries. So it could be worse. I'm not sure exactly what to assess. I haven't been following KD too much since he broke my heart and left. So so yeah, man, it could be worse. I hope it's not. I hope that he's able to get back to the player that he was, but it's not going to be like that. Just like with Klay Thompson, I don't expect him to be the same caliber of a player right off the get-go. You know what I mean? The only good thing about the only difference between Klay Thompson and KD is that Klay is a he's a shooter. Like he's a pop and shoot, catch and shoot type guy. KD is drive to the rack type guy. So he takes a lot more beating to his body. So that could lead to him having a tougher time recovering from his injury.
Yeah, I agree. And see, if he's not fully 100%, you sort of need these guys to go up against LeBron and Anthony Davis and all these other guys in Los Angeles. So I think it's actually very smart what they're doing, especially if KD doesn't come back.
Yeah, nobody wants to talk about LeBron and Anthony Davis, but yeah, let's get mad at the Mets or the Nets. Sorry.
Yeah.
Mine's on baseball. Let's get mad at the Nets.
Yeah, we'll get to baseball in just a second because this is our last topic before we get to our World Series. LeBron and Andre Drummond are now teaming up. Well, LeBron's injured now, but Drummond is averaging 17, 13, and 2, and he goes to the Lakers. I believe he was a free agent. He signed with the Lakers. So, obviously, they needed somebody because, to me, LeBron's not going to be 100% for the rest of the year. Anthony Davis isn't going to be 100% for the rest of the year. Simple question to you, Walter. Is Andre Drummond enough to get the Lakers past the Nets and win an NBA championship?
I don't think it's enough to even get them to the NBA championship.
Yeah.
I don't think that. I mean, look at the West. The West is stacked, dude. Like it's without LeBron. It all depends on LeBron. It all comes back full circle to LeBron. What is he going to do? Because his injury, I mean, he's slated to be out 4 to 5 weeks, right? So I mean, that's going right up to it. So is he able to, is he able to rehab and get back to game shape? Because that's really important for LeBron James. Obviously, he takes care of his body better than anybody in the NBA. But yeah, a quick answer to that: Drummond enough. I don't even know if it's going to work. I don't even know if Drummond's mindset is there to mesh with the Lakers. Like, he has to be a role player on that team. He's not going to be the guy. He's 27. You try to tell a 27-year-old that you're not that guy, you have to play a role. I don't know how that's going to go. It is LeBron, and LeBron was able to do that with Dwight Howard and all that. But Drummond is a different case. So we'll have to see how that goes. I think that's the biggest question, if they're going to mesh together and not, be a cancer and destroy that team. To be honest.
I agree. And a couple months ago, before Anthony Davis even got injured and the Lakers were playing really, really well, I was on the other show that I do. I was on Fuel to the Fire, and they asked me to give an NBA hot take, and this was when the Jazz were winning like 20 in a row. And I said that the Jazz were going to beat the Lakers in the Western Conference. And everybody said I was crazy, and now look where we are now. The Jazz are favored to win the Western Conference. And I still think the Jazz are going to win the Western Conference because Rudy Gobert is a better center than Andre Drummond. We don't know if Anthony Davis is going to be back. And if he is, he's not going to be 100%. And LeBron James isn't going to be back. So this is a hurt Lakers team. And we already know that if they get to the finals, they're going to have to contend with this ultra super team in Brooklyn. So to me, it could be enough to get out of the Western Conference. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. Are you good to move on?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, dude. I'm good.
All right. So, since you're a baseball guy, we should have some fun talking about this. Our last topic of the day. Opening day starts this week. I believe it's this Sunday, right? Or is it?
It actually starts tomorrow, Thursday, opening day.
Tomorrow. Okay, good. Yeah. I'm excited for that. So tomorrow is opening day. And I figured since it's opening day tomorrow, we're going to give our early World Series predictions. And Walter, since you're the guest on my show, I'll let you go first. Give us your World Series prediction for 2021.
Oh man, you want the winner, or you want from each NL, AL? What do you want?
Let's do the teams and the winner.
All right. Well, I hate to say it because I wear this hat proudly, man. I wear this hat proudly, and I see your jersey over there right behind you. It has to be the Dodgers in the NL. I don't see anybody else really contending for that. I mean, the Braves had a really good shot at it, and I was loving every single moment of it until they collapsed last year, okay? I was talking so much S last year to my Dodger fan friends. And yes, I do have Dodger fan or friends that are Dodger fans. Go figure. But I was giving them so much crap, man. Like I was like, "Oh, really? You guys are the best team in baseball? You guys are getting demolished right now, losing 3-1 to the Braves, like the baby Braves. Like, what's going on? What's happening there?" And then it all collapses, man. And from that moment on, I mean, they were the best team all year last year. I don't see them getting worse than what they were last year. If anything, they're getting better than what they were last year. They have questions in the bullpen as far as Kenley Jansen, Walker Buehler and Clayton Kershaw. They have not looked sharp in spring training, but again, it's spring training. Who really cares about spring training, to be honest, unless you're like a hardcore baseball fan like me and like analyzing spin rate and all that kind of stuff. But to me, I mean, NL has to be the Dodgers. It has to be the Dodgers. The other team that is right there with them, as far as I can go below, I would say the Braves, because they have pitching depth coming back, because that was something that hurt them last year. And I was surprised that they made it as far as they did without that. But yeah, Mike Soroka should be coming back. So that should be a big shot to the arm to the Braves. But yeah, I think it's going to be the Dodgers representing the NL, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I think my NL pick was the Dodgers as well. And simply because you talk about the bullpen, okay, they had they had Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, David Price, Dustin May, and they were missing that one spot, maybe a reliever that they would throw in for that fifth spot, maybe Julio Urias. And they go out and they get Trevor Bauer. So they add Trevor Bauer to the pitching rotation. Not only that, when you lose Jock Peterson and Kike Hernandez in the offseason and you're still projected to win 118 games, that goes to show that you're a good team. I mean, to me, there is not a guy in their 9-person lineup other than the pitcher. And I think that unless they do a universal designated hitter again, there is not a guy in their lineup that can't hit the baseball. I mean, Chris Taylor on that team, who I think is tremendous at getting on base, is on the back end. He's like 8 or 9 in the lineup last year. And they're just so overpowered. So my NL pick is the Dodgers. Walter, you want to give your AL pick?
Yeah, and about Chris Taylor, he might not even be in the starting lineup. Like they have Gavin Lux going at second base. So it's like, dude, like they got depth in every single category, right? So yeah, Dodgers. I hate to say it, dude, but they're still the best team in baseball right now. So I mean, I can give the realization of that being a baseball fan. Hurts me to say as a Giants fan, but yeah, Dodgers. The AL is a little bit more tricky. It's not as clear cut. I saw in the comments, who's that? John Mark. He went in there and he says the Yankees. That would be a doomsday situation for me. Yeah. If it was Dodgers and Yankees, like who might root? I guess I'm a Yankees fan. Like I'm not gonna be doing that, man. Like I really do not want to see the Yankees in the World Series. I really don't. I've been happy to have gone the past 11 years and not seeing the Yankees even sniff the World Series. So right. Let's keep that going. I'm on that train. I'm on that train to have the Yankees just not make it, just choke like they always do. I love that. But the Yankees, I mean, they're up there. I got the White Sox also. Oakland is always intriguing, but I don't know if they have that extra level to get them to the World Series. But and they just lost some pieces in their bullpen. Liam Hendricks, he's now with Chicago. So just to not say the Yankees, I'm going to just go White Sox. I have to go White Sox, even though they lost Eloy Jimenez, which is a big blow to them with his torn pectoral muscle. That's going to be really rough for them to get by, but they have Andrew Vaughn there. I was high on him prior to the injury, and now that he's taking over in left field, I'm even higher on him. So Andrew Vaughn, I think that he's your AL Rookie of the Year. And yeah, with La Russa there, and all those pieces that they have, I can see the White Sox doing it. I'm not going to say the Yankees, which you'll probably take the Yankees because everybody wants to say the Yankees. I can't do it. I can't set that up, that doomsday for me. But I'm gonna go Dodgers and White Sox for sure.
Yeah. So I'm interested that you said the Oakland Athletics, because that would bring back some memories for a bunch of Dodger fans. Of course, the Kirk Gibson home run.
Right.
No, but you were right. And John Mark in the chat, I'm going to agree with him, because the New York Yankees, a healthy New York Yankees squad, that's a good team. So
that's the key to them. Yeah, definitely.
Seeing that they stay healthy, I think it could be the Yankees. You got guys like Brett Gardner, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. Their pitching staff got a little bit better. I think we're going to see that doomsday, as you call it, the Dodgers and the Yankees. I'm not a Yankees fan, so I would love to see the Dodgers go all over the Yankees in the World Series. But my pick is the Yankees for the World Series. And Walter, just before we end the show, who are you going to pick to win the World Series?
Well, if it's Dodgers, Yankees all day, dude. Pinstripes all day. Can't go Dodger blue. So that would leave you to my final conclusion. White Sox, Southside's going to party this October, man. It has to go to the White Sox over the Dodgers. Has to. Yeah. And I'm not biased, by the way. I'm not biased.
No, yeah.
As I point to my Giants hat, I'm not biased at all.
Yeah, so I think the White Sox are definitely a sleeper team. I think the AL pennant could be between the Yankees and the White Sox. But I think that the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. I mean, there's no competition to me in the league. And again, call me biased if you want to, because I'm a big Dodger fan. But when you're projected to win 118 games, which has never been done in the history of baseball, and last year they were considered one of the best teams ever. Now they go out and they get Cy Young winner Trevor Bauer. I think it's got to be the Dodgers. They're just going to run roughshod over the league again. And now that Clayton Kershaw got over the hump, that's going to help him in the playoffs. So I think that the Dodgers are going to be the World Series champions this year.
I hope that Clayton Kershaw continues to choke. I hope that Walker Buehler has a terrible year. And I hope that that whatever Trevor Bauer found out about his spin rate, I hope that it comes back down to reality and we get some more Trevor Bauer of the Indians, not what he did last year.
Wow. Yeah. I certainly hope not.
I'm throwing a whole bunch of bad juju at you, bro. Like, I know. I can't have it.
I
love Mookie
now.
though. I love Mookie. John Mark, he said that he's a Red Sox fan, Mookie Betts, but yeah, I love Mookie Betts. Want him to do good, but seeing him in Dodger blue, man, doesn't do it for me. It's not the same. It's not the same.
All right, so that's where we're gonna end the show today. I want to thank Walter for coming on the show. You got anything before we end the show today?
No, man. I just want to thank you for having me on. It was fun. Anytime you need me back, talk some more sports, dude. I'm always on board, man. It was fun. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on the show. Before we do end the show, I do want to advertise Crunch Time Sports Show hosted by John Mark Stivers and Fuel to the Fire hosted by Landon Hammonds. And of course, if you enjoyed this podcast, you want to hear more just like it, go ahead and tune in every Wednesday on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all your podcast streaming services. This has been your edition of Sports Talk with Ryan Stoudt.